Hello everybody, welcome back to another video. And today we're going to be going over how to make a low poly wooden path or wooden bridge or really whatever you want. I'm just going to teach you the basics and you can do whatever you want with it. I'll throw up an example of what you could do with it. But yeah, you could do whatever you want. I'm just going to give you the tools to learn. And yeah, so let's just get right into it then. So at first we're just gonna scale this cube to make a kind of plank shape. So you just want to make like kind of a wooden plank. You don't want to be too thick, you don't want to be too thin. Or you can honestly make it however. Like about that. I think that looks okay. Actually no, just a bit shorter. There we go. Alright. Now what we're gonna do is before we do anything, we're gonna make sure that the scale is set. So we're just gonna hit Control A, scale. So now it basically reset the scale without actually changing anything. And now we're just going to bevel it out, just basically making the corners a bit slanted and not making it as sharp as it is. We're going to go into edit mode by hitting tab. We're going to hit Control B, and we're just going to bevel it. Like about there is good. As you can see, you have that little slanted corner right there. Now that we have that, we're going to duplicate it 2 more times. And this is just because I want to have 3 different types of planks. You can have it however many you want. I'm just going to have 3. So I'm just going to duplicate this twice. So I'm going to hit Shift D and then hold my middle mouse button to snap it to this green cursor or axis. And then I'm just going to put 2 more, and that's really it. And so now I'm just going to work on each of them separately. So let's start with this first one. I just want to make these kind of slanted. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into edit mode and I'm going to add 2 or 3 more edge loops. And how you do that is you go Control R and you just add 3 by scrolling up your mouse wheel. Double click it to finalize. And yeah, that's it. And now I'm just going to edit these edge loops a bit. So to select an edge loop, you're going to have to go into Alt and then left click. And then you can edit it however you want. So I'm just going to do the middle one first. I'm going to hit R to rotate it around a bit. If that looks good. And then I'm going to do these 2 together. Just because I feel like it would look a bit better like that. I'm just going to try to do it not so that it looks too weird, but so that it looks okay. So there, that's pretty good. And then we could just leave it at that. But what I'm going to do is I'm also going to add a kind of like a little cut in the side of this plank. So if you want to skip that, you can. I should have chaptered this video, but yeah, if you want to skip it, you can. So okay, so let's get started. So for now, we're going to have to make 3 new edge loops. We're going to have to make 2 horizontal ones like this. And remember, don't move them. Just double click. Alright. And then we're going to make another one, which will represent about the size that we want the cut to be. I want mine to be pretty noticeable. So I'm going to make it about that big. So the cut's going to be about this big, which is pretty big. Okay, so now we're just going to bring up our knife. We're just going to attach it to any one of these vertices. So like so. Draw out a little bit of a cut shape. Like that. Hit enter. And now what we're going to do is we're just going to add another edge loop right along here. We're going to scale it in like so. And then we're going to go into top view and we're going to hit G to grab. And we're going to pull it in as far as we want. And there you go. So there's the first plank. And so now I'm just going to go and variate these a bit, make them look a bit different from this one. And I will get back to you guys when I'm done. Alright, so here we are. I just ended up making one more with a little nook, and then one that just is completely clean with a bit of bent in it. And yeah, so that's it for the planks. And what we're going to do now is we're just going to make them all, like, we're just going to arrange them how we want. So I'm kind of feeling like this one first, then this one, like this, and then we attach this one like that. So as you can see, I just kind of arranged them in a basic pattern. It's not as advanced as I would be doing if I really was gonna like export this project and do something with it, but you can do whatever you really want with it. So now I'm just gonna group them up by just dragging in, selecting, Shift D to duplicate. Okay, so that worked. There we go. And so yeah, I'm just gonna try to connect them as best I can, make them look presentable. Alrighty, so I finished up with that, and now you can see that there's a lot of objects, different cube objects here, and if we don't want that to just cram up our thing, what we can do is we can just select all of them. So let me just select them all. We can hit M to start a new collection. We can call these plank set. And there we go. Now there's a new collection called plank set, and it just declutters our thing a lot. These are still separate objects, like you can still move them separately, but they just declutter our layers section over here. So now what we're going to do is we're just going to move these up a bit. Let's say about like that much. And now what we're going to do is we're going to make the beams that are going to be our like support beams. So we're going to bring the cube over here, and we're just going to basically do what we did with that, and we're just going to make a pretty big beam. I don't know how big. I really don't. It's not going to look that bad, but you can just spend however much time you want on it. And then what we're going to do is we're just going to do basically what we did there, and we're just going to bevel it. And I'm only going to make one variation, but you can make as many as you want. Oh yeah, can't forget, you got to set the scale of that. Set it's 111. Alright, now we're just going to bevel it by hitting Control B. And we're just going to bevel it a bit. Like that much is good. And then we're going to make 3 edge loops again. 1, 2, 3. And then we're just going to play around with them. I'm going to do virtually the same thing that I did that time. Just make them a bit bent. And so that looks okay. You could obviously add like the cuts in them. You could do anything you really want with them. And yeah, so now I'm just going to position this as if it's like supporting the thing right there. So now we're just going to Shift D to duplicate. And yeah, there we go. That is the setup done. And so now let's get into material. And you can skip this part of the video if you don't really want to follow my materials. I'm just going to make it a custom material, and I'm literally just going to color in every single thing. So for now, let's just add a new material and call it plank. Let's call it wood material 1. And then we're just going to give it a nice like woody color. Almost like this, actually. That looks kind of good, and we're just going to make it a bit lighter, a bit more orange. There we go. And then we're going to apply that to every single material. And then for the beam, we're going to make a new material, and we're going to call it wood material too. And we're just gonna make it the same color but just a bit darker. So like that. And yeah, that's it. I'm just gonna color these in and then we're just gonna set it up to render and that's it. Alright, so we're done with that, and I just interchanged the colors to give it a bit more character. And yeah, so I'm just gonna set it up right now. So look, I'm probably just gonna take all of these and just scale it down a bit, just so that I can fit it into the camera fully. And I don't need to do too much movement with the camera. And yeah, and then we're just gonna go camera, select it with the transform, and just give it a bit more rotation. Make it move back a bit. Rotate that up. And then we can set up the light. So right now, there's barely any light. And just to make it a bit easier, I'm just gonna, oops. And just to make it a bit easier on myself, I'm just gonna make it the sun, which is insanely bright, but I can turn down the strength to something like 35. Still a bit too bright. 15. And then I can move this obviously to shine, like kind of over here, so that the shadow isn't too bad. Something like that. And then we're gonna make the background just a color of like kind of like a white, like this, a bit less harsh on the eyes. There we go. And then I'm just gonna hit F12 to render. And yeah, that's it, guys.